rapper, producer, actor who hails from Jackson, Mississippi, David Banner. Okay. Or Lavelle Crump. You feel me? If you're from the Jackson metro area, you know, for real, Lavelle Crump. Okay. Part of Crooked Letter boys, you feel me? Them Firewater boys. You understand? He really, shit, he had Twitter going much earlier in the past week when a clip of him saying that HBCUs should be the only option for black people went viral. Okay. So I want to talk about this briefly. I think so many have already added to the discourse surrounding this that all opinions probably have been exhausted on this point. However, given the fact I only have a weekly show, I didn't get a chance to chime in yet. And I think that my perspective on this is unique, given the fact that I am someone whose education has been so varied. Okay. And then if I throw in my teaching career, I could say my experiences in education altogether have been so varied. Okay. I know public schools, I know private schools, I know HBCUs, I know PWIs. Okay. So I think my perspective is very unique. So I want to share that. All right, I want to share that. But before I do, make sure y'all hit that subscribe button. I am your homeboy first, and this is the realest, most entertaining show in the game. Put it on something. Again, hit that subscribe button, hit that share button, hit that like button. Okay. Make sure y'all put all your people on it. You understand? But let's get right into it. Let's get right into it. There's a lot that Banner said other than just that. Okay. It's a lot that he said other than just that. And the clip that I saw that was put out by the Twitter account Black Millionaires. First thing he did, he argued that black people are the only people who send their best and brightest to PWIs. Now, I totally disagree with that. That's not true. Clearly, that's not true. America is more than just black and white people. Okay. You have Latinos, they send their best and brightest to PWIs as well. You have Asians, whether it be Asians come from China, Japan, Vietnam, India, you name it, they send their best and brightest to PWIs as well. If you go to Middle Easterners, Arabs, they send their best and brightest to PWIs as well. They do. Okay. So I totally push back on that. And I hate when folks say black people the only people that do insert. You know, like we the only ones getting something wrong. So I totally disagree with that. Next, he argues that most black people want to be white and won't admit it. Now, that's a provocative statement. However, that has some truth to it. Now, one word may need to be edited, and that's the word most. There's no way for me to quantify that and know if it's most. God knows I hope it's not most. I hope most of us don't want to be white people. Okay. But clearly there are many of us, many, who want to be white people. And to some extent, you can understand it given our history in this country. Okay. You can understand it somewhat given, no more than somewhat, given our history in this country. Imagine, let's go back to, let's say the year is 1822. 1822. And you're living in Mississippi, where me and David Banner are from. And he and I are both enslaved. People who look like us are all enslaved. Okay. And don't hit me with that bullshit of, oh, you'll be in the house. That shit more about mindset than about skin color, goddamn it. Motherfucker like me would have been out there in them fields too. Shit. But we're enslaved. I'm sure that many, if not most of our ancestors in that situation, would have wished to be white, because the difference in their freedom literally was their skin color. Okay? Now, yeah, you did have some white people who were indentured servants. Okay? Like you might owe a debt or something like that, and you have to work for these folks until you pay off your debt, or something to that extent, something like that. But no, we're talking about chattel slavery for black people. We're talking about from birth to death being enslaved, if that's what your so-called master wanted. So I can imagine some, if not many, if not most, of our ancestors in that situation wanting to be white so they could be free. Once slavery had ended, and black people, particularly in the South, still went through another century of basically legalized discrimination and terror, particularly in the South. I can imagine then that some of our ancestors, many of our ancestors, maybe even most of our ancestors in that situation had thoughts from time to time that they wanted to be white so they wouldn't have to fear being lynched for minor infractions upon the white supremacist society. So they could have the freedom to go to a properly funded school. So they could have the freedom to move freely throughout where they lived without uh, being terrorized by not only the police but also white vigilantes. They may have thought that I want to be white. But let's go now from the end of the civil rights era. Let's go what, late 60s, early 70s until today. Unfortunately, there are still some. There are still many who simply wish that they were white. Why? Because we still undergo continued discrimination. I still pass by the police and I can be doing nothing wrong. and I still check my rearview mirror to make sure those motherfuckers ain't coming behind me. I still do that. Yes. The situation with the Navy Federal Credit Union, that massive discrimination scandal, still shows that we still go through continued discrimination. Mass incarceration still shows that we still go through continued discrimination. The fact that black people are imprisoned far more than their white counterparts for similar offenses, that shows that we still undergo continued discrimination. I can go on and on and on and on and on. Okay. But all that kind of shit may lead to some I wish I was white and I didn't have to deal with it. But I think it is my job, it is David Banner's job, and others who are educated, who proclaim to be activists, and who have one of these in front of them. And one of these, you have a camera, which now, shit, that could be anybody now, okay? Things have become very much democratized. Well, you don't have to be at a conference like Banner was at. I think this was says Revolt Summit. You don't have to be there to reach the masses. You can do like I'm doing from my home. But whoever you are, I think we have an obligation to try to instill a sense of self-love and pride in our people. So despite all the bullshit that we've been through, we still feel like I don't want to be anything other than black. You feel me? And I'm not saying that David Banner doesn't do that. Not saying that whatsoever. Okay. Um, the clip that's viral, there's a 30-second clip. No, he may have gone on uh that day to give some of that kind of game and give some of that inspiration. Okay. I'm just saying in general, people like me and him and many others, I think it's incumbent upon us to influence our people to love themselves. You feel me? Um, and our forefathers and foremothers knew that. You understand? They knew that. It's the reason why Malcolm X put in that speech, "Who taught you to hate yourself?" Now, at one part of that was he was defending Elijah Muhammad against people saying that Elijah Muhammad was just teaching hate. Okay. But also, he was saying, hey, we teach you to love being who God made you. Okay. Dr. King says that I'm black and beautiful, proud to be black. Okay. So we gotta make sure we're instilling that in our brothers and sisters from a very, very, very young age. All right, that's part of the reason why I tell my kids every single day that they are the greatest. Because I know that they live in a world, they live in a society, they live in a nation, they live in a state that's gonna try to tell them otherwise, despite their brilliance. These motherfuckers gonna try to tell them otherwise, but I tell them, shit, your dad is one of the greatest motherfuckers God ever made. You understand me? So if I say you great, you come from me. So forget what everybody else may say now or one day. Your daddy said you're great, therefore you are. You feel me? So it's incumbent on us to do that with the masses as well. Okay, that's one part. But let's get into the shit about the HBCUs versus PWI. Okay. Him saying that HBCUs shouldn't be a choice, they should be the only choice. I disagree with that. I disagree with that. But not in the way you think. So don't before you get them fingers ready to go and type out some motherfucking comments. Oh, I thought first was one of us or all that kind of shit. No. Bullshit. Stop. Don't do that. Before you click off, before you hit dislike, listen to me. Listen to me. Okay. When choosing a school, I think black students should choose what's best for them. That's what I believe. What's best for them, for the individual. You understand? What is going to help them reach their full potential? What is going to help them get to that point where they are able to display whatever talent that's within them that God has given to them. Okay, that's what I believe should happen. Okay, see, I believe in black liberation. I believe in black liberation. You understand? Liberation comes from the word liberty, and liberty means freedom. Okay, so I believe our children should have the freedom to decide to go wherever the fuck they want to go. Okay, our forefathers and mothers fought for that. And again, when I say forefathers and mothers, I've said this before. I ain't talking about no ancient shit. We ain't got to go back to Harriet Tubman. We ain't got to go back that far, which is not as far as you would think. We ain't even got to go back to Booker T. Washington, W.B. Du Bois, which is not as far as you would think. Okay, goddamn, we just goddamn go within my mama's lifetime. My mom was born in 1947, so I often argue correctly that my mother was not born free. To be born in the state of Mississippi in 1947 was not to be born a free citizen of America. It wasn't. Okay. So just within my mother's lifetime, the countless heroes who have fought, bled, died, been imprisoned, had their homes bombed, been murdered in front of their children. You name it, we've been through it. For all those folks, they fought so we could have the option to do what the fuck we wanted to do. I don't think most of them, let me say most of them. Some of them may have had the notion that I want to go where the white folks go and I'm going to fight till I get the chance to do that. Okay. But I think most of them wanted to have the option to do what the fuck they wanted to do. Okay. When it comes to the buses, we know about the most notable bus boycott, Rosa Parks and them. Okay. Some people like to go to the back of the bus. Think about today. The many buses I've been on with these students in the educational system, you get on the bus, kids move straight to the back of the bus. But I often would argue with them and I say, nah, if we made y'all go to the back of the bus, if we was simply forcing you to do so, you might not want to do it. And they're like, yeah, you're right. Cause if y'all were telling us to do, we might be like, well, what if I want to sit in the front? But to have the option, to have the freedom to do what you want, that was the real deal. Okay. When it comes to schools, the great James Meredith, who's a Jackson State man, a lot of folks leave that shit out. I didn't know it till I read his book. Okay. So they leave that shit out. Jack State man chose to go to Ole Miss, not cause he thought Jack State was inferior or anything like that. He said he wanted to go to Ole Miss to break the stranglehold of white supremacy. He looked at the fact that those motherfuckers telling him that he could not go to Ole Miss was a symbol of white supremacy. And he said, no, I ain't letting that shit stand. Those lunch counters. I haven't read anything that said SNCC activists or core activists who did sit-ins at white lunch counters and refused to leave until they were served, or often dragged up out of that motherfucker and arrested and beaten and all that kind of shit. I've read nothing that said that they thought, oh, sandwiches at white establishments tasted better, or the service was better, or the milkshakes were better. I've never read that shit. What they wanted is to have the option. If they wanted to go to that fucking place as an American, they should be able to fucking do it. Okay? So I don't think that HBCUs should be the only option. Okay? We've been down that road already. And for HBCUs to be the only option, it's segregation. Okay. But I think what Banner really was getting at, I think what he was getting at is, given the option, black people should choose an HBCU first. Like a HBCU should be at the top of your list. I think. Again, as somebody who gives these kind of speeches, somebody that gets in front of people and talk, and especially I'm very passionate. And sometimes when you get passionate and shit like that, you might not choose your words as carefully, especially once you get riled up. I don't know. He might have meant they should be the only option. I don't know that either. Okay. He may have meant that. But I'm assuming he doesn't want us to go back to de jure segregation and let that like have all society closed off to us by certain parts of society closed off to us by law. I don't think that's what he's referred to. I'm sure he respects the James Merediths of the world. I'm sure he respects the Dr. Kings of the world and the Ralph Abernathy's and so forth and so on. I'm sure he respects them. Okay. So let's look at it from that standpoint. Because so many kids, when picking schools, don't even put an HBCU on their list. So many kids, when they're picking a school, automatically write off HBCUs because they think a black institution is inferior, because they think that something that's black run is inferior. Okay. Some do that. Some do that. Now, some write them off because they might know history and know that, like black people as a whole, HBCUs have been discriminated against, and therefore the funding might be less, or black people as a whole been discriminated against, and therefore alums have less money to donate than, let's say, Ole Miss alums, Mississippi State alums, USM alums, so forth and so on. You can pick wherever you are in the country. They might think that, okay? And then they might choose a PWI because they know it has better funding, better resources, all that kind of stuff, just because of a history of racial discrimination. And they might choose to go there because they're going to pimp the system and go up there and use these motherfuckers' resources and goddamn get what they can get, and then still come back and help their community. You have those. But I'm telling you, you do have some who ain't thinking like that. They simply think something black run is poorly run. Because you see it when it comes to black businesses. You see the thinking behind some people when you're telling them to shop black, or buy black. They get to telling you all these reasons why they don't shop with black-owned businesses and all that kind of stuff. So that they've kind of accepted that idea of black inferiority. So in that vein, that's something we do have to change. We have to change that mindset. We do. I'll give you a perfect example. Again, God, I didn't know at the time, but God has really designed my life in a perfect way that I can relate to so many and have so many different experiences. I'm telling you, it's crazy. So I went to the University of Southern Mississippi for my undergraduate studies. I have a BA in psychology from Southern Miss, graduated number one in my goddamn class. Okay, spring 2007. Okay. So I've seen that side. All right. If y'all follow me closely, y'all know my life was greatly altered because of police brutality. 3 weeks or so before I graduated from Southern Miss. Okay. I defended myself, therefore I was charged with assault. Uh, Charge got dropped down to a misdemeanor. Racism won the day, and I was found guilty of that misdemeanor. Okay. And that's how I didn't get jail time. Okay. If you want to know more about that, uh, go watch some of my previous shit about that. Okay. But because of that incident, I didn't go into the field of psychology. Okay. Eventually, I went into education, and you got to be licensed as a teacher to teach. Okay. And so, since I ain't majoring in education, I had to go through what they call an alternate route to get certified to teach. And when I was getting ready to go, I had a choice between two local programs. One was Jackson State, and one was either Belhaven or Mississippi College. I can't remember that. I think it was Mississippi College. But basically, I had Jackson State or a local PWI to go to. And I would probably say every single person that I can remember talking to tried to get me to go to the local PWI. They had all these horror stories about Jackson State. Oh, they not gonna do right when it come to your uh, um, financial aid. They not gonna do right when it comes to your transcript. They gonna hold up all your stuff. Oh, their program is this, their program is that. All kind of horror stories and trying, basically acting like the white school did everything right and Jack State did everything wrong. But I chose Jackson State. Okay. Because I wanted to have that experience. Jack State is the place my mama graduated from. My mama started at Tuskegee, okay? But she ended up getting married, left Tuskegee, and then she ended up finishing later on night school and shit like that through Jack State, okay? My sister graduated from Jack State. Okay, I'm from Canton, Mississippi, so Jack State is what we know. All right. I chose to go to Southern Miss for undergrad because I wanted to go to a big school. I wanted to go to a school that was mixed. I had gone to nothing but small school. I went to all black Catholic school from preschool to 8th grade. I went to uh, a Catholic school, a small Catholic school from 9th grade to 12th grade. Okay. But I would want to pull those motherfuckers up in there. Given the fact that my mom was a single mom and a teacher. Okay. And these kids were upper middle class. This was St. Joe and Madison. Okay. So Southern Miss gave me an opportunity to go to a bigger, diverse environment. I wanted that, and I appreciate my experience there. I don't regret my decision whatsoever. But in this instance, I wanted a different experience. I wanted to go to Jackson State University. I did not believe the stories that I was hearing. And you know who was right? Me. I didn't have any problems whatsoever. I ain't had no problem with paperwork. I ain't had no problem with my damn transcript. None of that shit. None of that. My professors were all black men who I was in awe of. Okay? But some people got that mindset. That white is right. Okay? So I think what Banner is getting at ultimately, I think, I don't know, but I would say we should have the option, but if we have to choose, let's consider HBCU. Shit, maybe it should be even the top choice. If I knew the world is as fucked up as it is when I was 18 years old, as I do now at 39, I might have gone to Jack State for undergrad too. So I hadn't experienced overt racism yet at 18 years old. Okay. I hadn't read the autobiography of Malcolm X at 18 years old. Okay. I hadn't I had heard the I Have a Dream speech, of course, but I hadn't learned for real what Dr. King believed in, what Medgar Evers believed in. I know his struggle. I didn't know James Meredith's plight for real at 18. I knew he was the first to integrate Ole Miss, but I was sadly poorly informed on our struggle. I'm a straight A student. Straight A student. I don't think I had less than A in any history class throughout my K-12 journey. I don't think I had one. You feel me? But the curriculum just wasn't like that. You feel me? Now, again, I'm still glad I chose what I chose. I needed that wake-up call at Southern Miss. I needed that. I needed that. That instance of police brutality, that happened down there. That happened down there. Me going into a bathroom stall and seeing all niggas go home written on the stall, that happened down there. That happened down there. While I was there, I learned that they used to at halftime honor Nathan Bedford Forrest, one of the co-founders of the KKK. I learned that down there. That's what they used to do at halftime at Southern Miss once upon a time. I learned that down there. My eyes were opened. I met a brilliant scholar from Yazoo City, Mississippi. My beloved OG, Dr. Curtis Austin. Okay. An expert in the Black diaspora, in the Black liberation struggle. I met him there. He was one of my professors. He helped open my eyes to a lot of shit. Okay. So I made a damn good decision. But again, if I knew all that shit then that I know now, I may have chosen Jackson State for undergrad. But I'd be a different person. Okay. So again, I think our children should be able to have whatever goddamn option they want. But when making that decision, they should not be thinking that something run by their people is inferior. I would say to all young people, make your list. Put your big PWI on that list, put your small one. Put your a big HBCU on that bitch, put a small one on there. Put your JUCO on there. Put your an out-of-state school on there at least. Okay? Before you do all that though, goddamn it, you gotta figure out you. You gotta take the time to think about you and analyze yourself and try to figure out, what do I believe in? What are my core tenets? What are my core beliefs? What do I like? What do I dislike? What subjects come easy to me? These are things that I ask children because I'm still out here in these streets. When I tell y'all I'm in these streets, I'm in these schools still. Y'all know my business. If you follow me, y'all know my business that really pays my bills right now is educational consulting. So I still go throughout the state of Mississippi helping our children. And I ask them these things whenever I have the chance to. But my youngest, who I used to teach when I was a teacher, they know I used to ask them for real. Who are you? What you want to be? Make a list. Analyze yourself first before you be making all these damn decisions. See, because of these goddamn phones, more than ever, people don't take the time to think about themselves. Because you ain't got no downtime. You're always consuming something, consuming something, consuming something. Now, by me saying that, I might be hurting my business because I need you to consume my content. But I'm telling you, you got to find some time to put that shit down and analyze yourself. Think about yourself and what do you want to do? Who are you? What do you want to do? And while I wasn't fully formed at 18, I knew I wanted to help people. I knew I wanted to help people. I knew I did not want to go out of state because I needed to be around for my mom and my grandmama. I knew that. I knew I didn't want to go far away from my then girlfriend, who's now my wife. I knew that. Okay. I knew a lot of folks came to me for advice, and I was good at listening to people, hearing people out. I knew that. I knew I was interested in how we think as human beings and all that kind of stuff. I knew that. I knew I wanted to get some money. I knew that. That's why I didn't major in history, even though history was my favorite top subject. I didn't major in it because I thought the only thing I could do was teach or write books. And so many of the writers I was learning about at the time didn't get money. They were dead. And I was like, I ain't doing that shit. I'm trying to get some money. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna be a psychologist and help my people. Have a black male psychologist, hell. You know what I'm talking about? That's from the hood. Switch the game up on that motherfucking ass. I knew those things. Now my life had some curves in it. But at my core, I knew I wanted to help people. Okay? And I'll be damned. Still at 39, I'm helping people. So all the young folk out there and for the OGs out there that have young people, y'all figure yourselves out. And then take advantage of the options before you that our OGs have fought for. For the OGs out there, try to help your youngest figure themselves out. Okay. And try to dispel that notion from them that white is simply right and that they have to choose a PWI or even, goddamn it, a major, that they have to choose a career path that involves them not being down with their people. They ain't got to do that. Okay. And no matter what they do, they should stand 10 toes down for their people and for their culture. You understand? Because at some point, they're going to have to deal with white people in this white dominated world. David Banner knows that. David Banner knows that. David Banner from Jackson. David Banner went to HBCU. I want to say he went to Southern. But when David Banner got on, when that Like a Pimp went, I guess, back then's version of viral, and he got that record deal, he signed with UMG Recordings. That's Universal Music Group. That's them white. That's white people. That's white people. And I'm sure David Banner wouldn't want to be called out for signing for with white people. He signed on to work with white people. You can argue work for white people. Okay. Just like our top athletes, when they go to these PWIs, our top athletes are getting paid to work there. I'll talk more about that in another segment shortly, but they're getting paid to work there. Not only in the NIL era, this album of his, Mississippi, the album, was released in 2003. So that's before NIL. These boys were getting paid to go to North Carolina, Duke to play basketball. Kentucky, they getting paid to go there. Okay, so just like he got paid by Universal Music Group and he took the money to go work for him, they getting paid to go to Duke, North Carolina, and Kentucky to play basketball. They were getting paid to go to Alabama, Auburn, LSU, Mississippi State, Ole Miss to play football. They're getting paid. They're getting paid. And he took the money. And they took the money. Okay. I'm not saying either one is wrong. I'm not. Because it's white supremacy, which is the reason, or what discrimination, racial discrimination is the reason why these schools can pay more money than our schools can. Also because we're outnumbered, but it's also because of racial discrimination. That we ain't have some big ass black owned record company solely black owned. Cause some may say, well, he could have gone with Def Jam, but I want to say even Def Jam was a subsidiary of a white company. Okay. Or he could have gone to Rockefeller, which is black owned by Jay-Z, but hell, they had a distribution through Def Jam or whatever you want to say. Okay, but ultimately in any entertainment business shit, the true gatekeeper were white folks. And still are. And he took the money. You know what I'm saying? And it's the same with these black athletes. Okay. So let's just make sure we're pouring into our children and then giving them a sense of identity, pride. That they don't think that their own is inferior, despite the legacy of racial discrimination. Let's instill in them that they can change that. Okay, let's instill in them that if they do still choose to go to the Mississippi States, the Ole Misses, the LSUs, Dukes, the North Carolinas, okay, that the money that they get, goddamn it, flip that money and then still come help your own. Nothing against that. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. If they have better resources because of racial discrimination, okay, use them goddamn resources. But then once you get on, bring the money back to your hood. That's what so many from other communities do. Because we are not the only ones whose best and brightest be going to PWI. And I leave out with this. When I was at Southern Miss, one of the ways I earned money is by tutoring. I worked at a place called Student Support Services. Okay. I had an opportunity to tutor this Arab brother. Okay. I forget what country he was from. But it was he was from somewhere in the Middle East. Okay. And his country paid for him to come over here to learn in the United States. Okay. So he can go back home and help his country. Many foreign scholars have that story. Where they come use U.S. universities, and our university is still amongst the best in the world, if not ranked as the best in the world, despite what's going on with our K-12 system. So they come here, get knowledge, get education here, then go back and become pillars of their own communities. That same thing is something that can happen with our people. Okay? But we still got to put that here. Because there's some folk that choose to go to HBCUs and still don't give a fuck about black people. Hold on that. Hold on. I say it's some people who go to HBCUs who still don't give a fuck about black people for real like that. Who are out here being some of the main ones siding with white supremacy. And they can donate money and all that kind of shit to Stephen A. Smiths of the world. But still, they be out here pushing white supremacist notions. If you think I'm lying, go look at some of the segments I've done by Stephen A. Smith motherfucking ass. And him cozying up to people like Sean Hannity. Okay. Go look at Shannon Sharp, who went to HBCU, but when Deion Sanders did all that shit, talk about Jackson State University, Shannon Sharp helped him perpetuate those lies against us. Okay. So I would argue a real one could be wherever. It could be at a HBCU, at a PWI, whatever the case is. Just make sure you're making that choice for the right decisions. Just make sure you're not making that choice based off thinking that something black run is poorly run. Young people, just make the best decision for you. Your grandparents literally fought for you to be able to make that decision. Put it on something.
Please subscribe to my daddy's YouTube channel, because the more subscribers he gets, the more attractive he looks to sponsors. The more attractive he looks to sponsors, the more money he can make. And the more money he can make, the more money he can spend on me.